icon, or whatever you want to call
Just beyond
it.
belief. It's just
Yeah, it's beyond belief.
I mean, this is
We can't hear you!
Thank you, New York, for ordering up such a beautiful day for us to have this historic event. Thank you all for coming out and joining us today. 6 months ago, Act for America launched this nationwide petition that you see right here. It calls upon Mayor Michael Bloomberg and other elected officials in New York to urge Imam Faisal Abdul Rauf to reverse course and not build a massive Islamic center and mosque at 9/11 Ground Zero. Little did we know when we launched this petition that eventually 70% of Americans would oppose the proposed mosque, and that this petition would garner over 120,000 signatures. Much has been said by advocates for the mosque that Imam Rauf has the constitutional right to build it. We're not disputing that, and no one I'm aware of is disputing that. An overwhelming majority of the American people, represented by the 120,000 people who signed this petition, are simply saying to Imam Rauf that the issues of sensitivity,
So we can't debate the issue.
9/11 for families, and his poor judgment is somehow believing that the mosque would be viewed by Americans as a symbol of healing. Many Americans are also deeply troubled by Imam Rauf's advocacy of Sharia law, his belief that governments do not practice Sharia law are unjust, and his numerous instances of doublespeak, in which he coos soothing platitudes about tolerance and interfaith dialogue to English-speaking audiences, while he rejects interfaith dialogue to Arabic-speaking audiences. If there is any silver lining in the cloud that Imam Rauf has foisted upon America, it is the national discussion that has ensued regarding Sharia law. Recently, I spoke to a breakfast meeting of a civic club in Florida. When I asked this group of 35 men and women if they had ever heard of the term Sharia law, every hand shot up. I can say with certainty that had I asked that 2 years ago of the same group of people, very few, if no hands, would have gone up. Oklahoma's recent passage of 70% voter support of a state constitutional amendment prohibiting its judges from using Sharia law when deciding cases reflects this growing awareness of Sharia law and its threat to our constitutional system of government. I am confident that as more people come to understand the oppressive and discriminatory nature of Sharia law, a law system that imposes tyranny on non-Muslims and Muslims alike, the American people will rightly conclude that Sharia law is incompatible with our Constitution and cannot be countenanced if we are to retain our freedoms. I encourage anyone who would care to learn for themselves how Sharia law advocates jihad, discriminates and oppresses women, and treats non-Muslims as second-class citizens to obtain a copy of this book, a little nighttime, bedtime reading. It's called The Reliance of the
Looks
Traveler.
unbelievable.
This is a 1991 English
It's a nightmare.
authoritative version of Islamic sacred law. It has the imprimatur of Al-Azhar University and also the International Institute of Islamic Thought. Find out for themselves what exactly Sharia law says and what that will mean for us in the United States if we accommodate it. Contrary to what some political and media pundits contended, America's opposition to the Ground Zero Mosque, illustrated by this petition and its more than 120,000 signers, was not a political issue related to the recent election. I have no doubt that had this controversy erupted in 2011, the American people would have been equally opposed. The election has come and gone. The media coverage of the controversy has died down, but opposition to the project will not go away. Opposition to this mosque is not about an election. It is about what's right and wrong. A mosque where almost 3,000 innocent lives died because of radical Islam is wrong. More telling is the vast majority of Americans registering their opposition to the Ground Zero Mosque in spite of repeated hectoring, name-calling, and badgering directed at them by condescending, out-of-touch elites in government, the media and academia. Unfortunately, Mayor Bloomberg has been one of those officials. In stark contrast to Mayor Bloomberg, a few months ago, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani criticized not the American people, but Imam Raouf. Mayor Giuliani's response is worth repeating. He said that if Imam Raouf was truly interested in interfaith dialogue and bringing healing in the aftermath of 9/11, Raouf would reverse course and put his mosque elsewhere in New York. In Mayor Giuliani's words, Imam Raouf, digging in his heels, demonstrates he is not a healer, but a warrior. The fact that New York Governor David Paterson sought to mediate a solution and Donald Trump offered to buy out the major investor at a pretty handsome profit, and yet Imam Raouf remains intransigent, confirms to me that Mayor Giuliani was in fact correct. I'm honored to have with me today representatives from a number of groups, such as Peter Gadio of the 9/11 Families for a Secure America, Andy Sullivan, founder of the 9/11 Hard Hat Pledge, Tim Brown, retired New York firefighter and 9/11 survivor, and Rosaline Talon, whose brother, a firefighter, died in 9/11, and who is the family liaison for advocates for fallen 9/11 heroes, 9/11 fallen heroes. And there are other 9/11 families standing with us here today, standing in support of this Act for America petition that we're going to deliver to Mayor Bloomberg's office after this news conference. These are all great Americans who understand the symbolic consequences of building a mosque at Ground Zero and who have courageously opposed it. Andy, Tim, and Rosaline each make a short statement, and then I will take questions from the media that are present. Andy?